I had a session. A friend of mine asked to have a one-time session. I do therapy, and I was like, okay, thank you for the trust, and it was so beautiful, and he was so happy. Yeah, that's inspiring. He really liked it. That's inspiring.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. What type of therapy you do?
It's trauma therapy with somatic experiencing
Oh, that's
and
very nice.
polyvagal and stuff.
What about Chu NT? And hi, Chewy. Welcome.
Um,
Hey, Livy.
well, I hate you. So I went this weekend and bought some stuff for my room, like a new bed frame and a bunch of stuff. And so I'm now just moving things around, and I feel I feel now with a very um sort of inspired. Feels like a new space, and just trying out new things, new setups. Pretty much that. What about you, Chewy?
Something inspiring that happened recently. Um, I'm trying to look for something like more recent than East Mexico, but that was just like very, very inspiring to see. Just and I feel like very related to what you're currently doing, Livy, because like like seeing the process of people building like their own solutions. I feel that there are a few things as inspiring as that. So yeah, I can only think of that. I mean, I felt inspired by other stuff. Like I've listened to some good music recently, but that was just like very impressive and beautiful to see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to how the community is gonna keep growing.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel that too. I'm still very inspired by everything I saw in Kenya. I just left there yesterday, so it's very fresh. I feel like it would take me a few days to process everything, but it's very beautiful to see communities on the ground using some of the technology we've been building. It feels rewarding. Hi, Durgadas. Just in time to share something inspiring that happened with you in the last few days.
Well, I need a moment to think about it. So if you don't mind, I just showed up and then, oh, I'm going to jump on you with that. So just 1 second, please.
Can be something simple too.
Yeah, again, I'm gonna need a moment. I feel on the spot, so now I'm
sorry.
frozen. So
Okay, didn't want to put you in the spot. Well, so I started a chat in the Softgov channel today about, yeah, I felt a little worried about the proposals, how the governance is doing. I think there's a lot to update there. I feel like people are feeling quite lost. And I think we passed a mixed signal of, are we open for proposals? Are we not open for proposals? But like, how are the funds being used or not? And then there was Tokenomics DAO that submitted this proposal for a tokenomics guide. And I was talking to them for a while, and Sean was also talking to them. And then he felt like we failed them. kind of on, like, there was a proposal they put in an advice process for a month. And then what is the process once a proposal is in advice process? The idea was that it stays there for at least 5 days, up to 2 weeks. And then you can either mark resolved if you don't need like funds, or if it's not something like that will affect the community as a whole, or you can move to either conviction voting or snapshot. But I think this is not communicated so often. It's not like an automatic process for people. And yeah, we had a little chat. Ante mentioned the Gnosis process, how they have a 3-step process, and it's a little more clear how to engage. I submitted a proposal to Gnosis before, and yeah, it does feel very clear, their process. Just feels long, kind of. I don't know if we need those 3 steps. Yeah, do you want to share anything else? Or yeah, go ahead, Drew.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that conviction voting pretty much saves us like one of the 3 steps of Gnosis, because we can have like like what we call advice process, like make it a phase so that people have like a clear instruction of like going through it. So a first phase can be like forum off-chain voting, and phase 2 can be just like conviction. So yeah, I really like that idea of like exploring a new like formal, very like straightforward process. Yeah, I just really like and support that idea.
Okay, I have my inspiring thing. So I went through this beautiful training called the OCAP training, and it's basically a information management for for First Nations. And the principles that they were talking about there were just, so, like a lot of the constitutions and laws that we have in various countries, including Canada, are all about individual freedoms, but there's no provision in there for community privacy, right? In any Western legislation, really anywhere, including Canada. So it's really interesting to see when an entire community wants its own privacy and security sort of handled, and how there are no laws basically that enforce that. So this is like a division between the colonized and the pre-colonized people. So it's yeah, really interesting an inspirational thing that I feel like I want to use in other areas for DAOs especially.
Thank you for sharing. Gideon, do you wanna give a shot? We were past the intros, but Durga does had an inspiration, so you can share yours too.
Nothing's coming to mind right now. Sorry.
All right.
Yes, I'm gonna pass for right now. Thanks.
Yeah. So a more formal, straightforward framework for governance. I think from the Gnosis steps that we could cut like the first one. I think what we're missing is a more clear signal in the forum that that proposal should go to conviction voting or not. Or do we even want to have that process? Or is like, or after 5 days, you submit to conviction voting if you want. I think it's interesting to have a signaling there. People could create a poll. And then that part that feels instruction-wise, like, will people remember to create a poll? Or does everybody knows how to create a poll? Is that, it feels small, but I think when you're actually like proposing something that becomes a blocker sometimes.
Well, I think we do want to have a process because, like, within the TEC, we sort of know how to deal with ourselves. But now seeing one of the very few proposals from people on the outside, and I haven't chatted with them, but seems to me like they may be just lost on the process. Um, we probably should have something more clear. I don't know, maybe a pinned post on the forum chatting about that describes the process and that people can give it a look. About polling and the others and sort of the format, I'm pretty sure we can add that on the template for proposals. And if not, I wouldn't worry so much. I would assume people that come here to make a serious proposal take at least a few seconds to properly structure it and add a poll if you request it. Um, and well, maybe something complementary to that is having someone that can sort of look at the proposals. Like, again, I'm referencing Gnosis DAO because I check on them very often, but they have, I think his name is Josh, No Planet Beast, his username. Whenever there's a proposal with an incorrect format, he steps in and just hey, please add this and that, whatever, and we can do that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to have a specific role for that. Someone to always take a look at the proposals that are coming. Feels difficult now because we don't have so much of a flux, and then I think there's this dilemma of, yeah, how much are we incentivizing people to submit proposals? What would you say about that, Gideon?
Do you mean, are we going out and trying to find people to submit, or do you mean, are we actively trying to encourage or discourage proposals right now?
Yeah, that's what it feels unclear, because NT was suggesting that we had a specific role, like someone to check all the proposals, to see if there's something missing, like an admin of the governance process, kind of. But I wonder if that's something we have the capacity for now, since I don't know if I don't think it's clear the signal we're sending about if either people should submit proposals or not. And I feel like we should clarify that.
Yeah, I agree. We should clarify that. I think we have a couple of realities, which is, one, it's getting a lot harder to pass proposals. Like, that's just true. Like, large proposals are getting a lot harder to pass just because of the way conviction voting works, with less money in it. And then there's the kind of like the more honest question that I think we all have to answer as a community is like, it does feel like we've put the brakes on a lot of the working groups in terms of spending, and so are we doing the same for proposals from outside the community? And I don't know the answer to that. I personally think that, this is my personal view, is that until we can turn things around, I think we should fund, but I think it should be just like really, really good proposals. Like, I think our bar has to go up at this point. That's my sense.
Oh, I just made a quick note in the chat. Livy, do you remember how much Tokenomics DAO would be requesting for this guide?
12K.
Okay, because I feel that, yeah, it wouldn't be I don't feel that it would be like a bad idea to pick up on that. Maybe it's something that I could even handle, and I mean, of course, we would have to go through like an advice process to see if it's the right thing, but I could see that happening with like at least like a part of like the marketing funding. Maybe it would be like a nice opportunity because of the exposure that this would give us. So at least like partially maybe it could be funded with the marketing expenses before taking the rest back to the common pool as we spoke yesterday. And maybe that could lower the amount that conviction voting will require to make it happen. Just thinking around how we can just like activate this and like keep the proposal funding going on without sacrificing like significant amounts of what's left in the common pool. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the matter.
Yeah, I also want to add something, and I think actually, like, the proposal is very token engineer, which is great. And I also agree with Gideon. Like, it's important to see, like, make sure like the proposal, like, make sure like the team behind the proposal is trusted and it's going to deliver a great product. But if they do so, 12K for like a good guide for tokenomics, I think it's cheap, and I think it's very great for the TC. Like, I really think that as a public good, like everyone can use when they're creating tokens. And I mean, people is coming to the TC asking for that actually. So I think it's a win-win. But we need to make sure like the team behind is going to deliver, because otherwise it's like wasting money. But if they deliver a great product, 12K, I personally would vote for that.
I think what Gideon said is very true about the bar going up, and I also think we may be in the position of finding alternative routes to collaborate. It's like just in a very brief moment in the Softgov channel, we connected the dots between the creation service and their work, and so like what I would love to see happening from now on is a clearer governance structure with a higher bar to request funds, but also we should be more aware of what can we do for proposals that may not cut it financially. And I don't know, there's plenty of stuff we can do, like for the Tokenomics DAO. We're thinking about the interest group, but 12K isn't also that much money. Maybe there's some other ways we can support them in co-writing a proposal for other bigger DAOs that have more spending for that, and just putting ourselves in the position where we help them in any way possible. Because I think the proposal is great. Do we have the money to spend? I don't know, but if we haven't, I would be out to chat with them and see how can we source that money from other places. I don't know.
I mean, we have the money. We have like 600K something. They're asking for 12.
I mean, we have the money to like available to be spent on that. That's where I guess the discussion is sort of.
I mean, what I'm trying to say, like, if we send them to other place, like, then it's like, like, it's like the TC is not funding public goods. I think, like, honestly, like, it's a very great product, and it's actually more of what we need. I still like thinking the same. Like, if we have like talk with the team, like maybe like show up some previous work or something, then I don't know. Like, I mean, always it's like what I feel like saying, like what you said before, Levi. They make the forum post, but they didn't go through conviction voting. Like, I feel like people would, community would decide something in conviction voting, but in a forum post without any advice process. Like, I mean, the natural next step is just post it there.
I think that one other thing, I mentioned this in the text chat for Softgov, and I know Livy, you're concerned about putting conditions around funding. But what I was suggesting is that, for the curation service, tokenomics could be a great category for our curation. And it could be that this idea of interest groups, like we could create an interest group here in the server that's focused on tokenomics. And I think, maybe there's a way of going back to them and saying like, hey, maybe we add a little bit more. If 12K is what you need to do this publication, maybe it's like add another 2K, and what we'd like to do is integrate it into the work that we're doing here. And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how do we support public goods and also simultaneously capacity build the commons, right? Because I think the days where we need to stop thinking about, this is just my view, but I think sometimes we fall into this kind of sense of shame in asking people to contribute to the commons. Like that if we ask them to do something that not only supports their project, but then actually supports the commons, that we're asking them to kind of give up, and being extractive. But if the commons is truly owned by them also, and it's open and they can own it, and if they contribute, then they own even more. That's something I think is great. We should be looking for ways where projects like this can add in and build the value of the commons while they're doing their individual work. That's my sense.
I also want to give another idea, and it's that projects should not or cannot aim for the 100% of the funding from the TEC, and that what I am seeing and the vision that I have right now is that the Web3 space is very liquid, and that there's always grants happening, there's always a lot of ways for projects to receive funding. I think that between our services to the projects that want to be funded by the TEC, we should also help them to look for multiple funding streams. So not only hey, come to the TEC and we will fund the 100% of your project, but we will teach you how to fish in the sea. We will not prepare you all the food and give you all the fish you want, but we will teach you how to go there and fish and participate in grants and get relationship with other projects, and using the proposal inverter until certain degree. If the project is fit for that, or having a Giveth project or a Gitcoin grant, all that, and not only having one funding stream. That's my idea.
Hey, Juanca, Bianca, Bear, welcome. Septi.
Hello, everyone.
I wanted to clarify something, Gideon, for what you said, that I didn't want to create, I wasn't afraid to create, I don't remember now what you said, but blocks on the funding. It's not about that. I think it's great to include them in the curation service. I just feel like sometimes by including projects into bigger projects, things get stagnant and don't go anywhere. Instead of doing this, let's collaborate on this huge idea that has so many people involved and then requires so much coordination and sometimes the drop balls on the way. How could we invite them to do that and also support what they have going now? Because it's the work they're showing up for. And if they're welcomed, and if it feels like there could be a balance there of what we can give, what they can give, and maybe it would make the rest of the collaboration easier also.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it's just it could be just as simple as like a quick conversation that says like, oh, hey, we've got this going on, and don't connect them. Don't say like, and if you don't do this, like, there's no funding for you. See, it's like it's not like that, but it's like, hey, yeah, let's. And actually, I really like the idea that like Juanca's idea and T, you were going the same direction of like, can we help you? Can we play almost like Gitcoin's role of matching? Like, can we be a facilitator to kind of like help bring people together? So I guess I'm going in two directions at the same time. One is, let's figure out how to build a partnership here, right, with these folks. That's deep, and it's like, we'll help you to try to get this funded. And we'll recommend to, like we'll put it up in the common pool and see how people vote. And some of us will back it publicly. We'll say, yeah, we really like this idea. Here's what we think is really cool. And in addition, we'd like, let's see if we can get you active on the server and contributing to the comments, And if there's a way to actually do these at the same time without compromising them, then that's great too. But I think having a conversation would be a great way to figure out whether they see an opening too.
What would be some concrete steps to go in that direction?
I dropped a note to Maddie just to say like, hey, I just wanted to talk to him about the curation service, because actually NT brought up last night the idea of doing tokenomics as one of the categories. So I think that's one thing, to just kind of like do an informal, or it could be somebody else, but somebody could just reach out to them and just kind of like get a feel for what it is. I guess one thing that would be also interesting is this idea of like the matching, or like helping them to find other funds. Like, I don't know where you start there, but I really like that idea too.
Yeah, I think the most immediate actionable item is just chat with them, see where they are at and where could we add value. And so, like, I don't know, maybe like in the case of the guide, they are looking for money to do research. Maybe the curation service does that research cheaper. And so maybe while they're using a service we're building, we are able to bring costs down, and that becomes more easy for us to fund, for example, and stuff like that. But just see where they are at, and also because it has already been like a month of the proposal, so maybe they dropped it off, maybe they already found the money elsewhere or something. And then that's for the proposal. And then for I would be really interested in getting in touch for like a more long-term partnerships for, like, I don't know, I think the interest group with tokenomics would be really great, because tokenomics is like a very buzzword in the space, in the token engineering space, oftentimes confusing token engineering with tokenomics. They have a bunch of content, they have a lot of contributors, and so maybe we facilitate the interest group and they have the people doing the knowledge. And that's, I see that as a very nice partnership between both organizations, that help that we help them build tokenomics knowledge, and they help us become the selling point of the token engineering field.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was that's what we really wanted to have with them, like a closer relationship like that. So so it sounds like you both are talking to them, Antti and Gideon. Maybe we can have a. Okay.
Not yet, but NT, maybe if he does respond, maybe just the two of us get on a call with him. And I don't know if anybody else is interested too. I mean, the interesting thing is they reached out before and were totally game to like come by and do sessions for us for the TEC to like run sessions to like walk people through tokenomic design and stuff like that. So, I mean, this would just be following up on an idea that they raised like 4 or 5 months ago to like just do that in our server. And just now we're starting to have kind of like a structure maybe for doing that with this interest group idea.
Cool. Yeah, I'm curious to see where they're at with that because I proposed that to them like but back then, and then I don't know. There was a few talks of things they were hosting on Twitter, and there's a difficulty in time zone too. They're mostly based in Australia, but I think it's good to have other time zones popping up in the TC. That would be great. So I think there's two things to talk about with them. One is the integration with the curation tool, and the other one is the follow-up to their proposal if they would like to submit to conviction voting.
I would like to add something. I went in to look at the start of the guide that they have online. And I was thinking about, is it possible or if it's okay to ask for them to put in a chapter about the commons in tokenomics? Because that would be a lot more useful for us also.
I think that's a valid question to add to the forum post, for example. I saw that they didn't engage with the forum in the last few days, and maybe that was the drop of the momentum that the proposal was. Sorry. But I think if you sent that on the forum, that would be awesome, Irene. Any other thoughts or questions around this proposal or proposals in general?
One thing I'm looking after you mentioned that, I've clicked through. I mean, it looks like a lot of this is written. No. There's still some chapters that are not written, but there is a pretty big chunk that is done. So yeah, I think we just have to talk to them.
I want to ask something about the framework for proposals, and because just having the manual is like it's more useful to have something more dynamic, like this part of the role. But could it be something automated? Like the proposal comes in and it pops on itself, or should it be a person?
I don't think we're there yet in terms of technology. I feel like that would be very costly to do.
Yeah, I was going to just ask on sort of actions on the overall governance process, and on that point about having someone sort of take care of that. I think what's more important is to define sort of the role or the necessity, and then I'm pretty sure we ourselves I check the forum a few times a week, and if I see something and I know what are the guidelines, I can drop a message. I don't think we need like person that owns that, but we need clarity so that the members of the community can, go ahead and clarify anything for anyone putting a proposal up.
Do you think there could be a few roles, like the governance keepers? A few people
Yeah.
that commit to that for maybe a week?
Yeah, I guess depends on how formal we want to do it. Like, I'm more worried about we having clear instructions, because after we have them, we can, like, any of us can go ahead and look at the form, like how many proposals do we receive a month? Probably like one at most, or one or two. And so I don't think we have to carry on just operating a group of people formally dedicated to that. But if there's clarity around that, any of us can go ahead, post, hey, I don't know, hey, Maddie, so I noticed this, and this is not clear on your proposal. You need this, and this, because this, in a link to the handbook, for example. But right now, I can link the handbook, and we are both going to be at the same point anyway. So
Maybe just to add on to the conversation there. I think that if we are already exploring this idea of like radical simplification within the TEC and the Discord server, might be also a good idea to see how that could play out in the forum as it currently is. Like revisit the categories, like guidelines, the way people actually use it, and see how can we make it simpler but more effective. I don't know how would that look like, but maybe just as something to consider.
very quickly, I'm just looking at the Gnosis DAO forum, and it seems like you can have the poll on the template. And so I guess that's an issue less we have to care about.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I think those are two simple things we could do. Maybe add the poll to the template, and have just a more clear advice process. We could use something, I don't know how much is a good parameter for like what is the percentage of people that have to vote? Because the poll in the forum is like one person, one vote kind of thing. So how many people need to vote for that proposal to pass to the other phase? We would have to discuss that. And
One. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, one thing. Here's. I'm going to flip it a little bit, just to play devil's advocate. I think there's kind of this sense of guilt that we all have a little bit, like, oh, we're not funding enough, and what are we even doing if we're not funding? And we've got to be driving this stuff, and it's up to us to drive the engagement. We're constantly like feeling like we've got to like push these proposals forward. But what if part of what we're doing is we're saying, it's really up to you as the proposal, as the proposer of a proposal that, if you really want this thing to succeed, you need to build your own engagement within the community, right? And so a vote like that, I think having something like that voting thing there is kind of good, right? Because it's a signal of how broad the support is. I mean, people can they can like it, so that's also good. But having a vote thing is a nice kind of initial thing. And I guess what I'm saying is that, we shouldn't feel bad about asking that people who come for funding in the commons are active in the commons, right? I don't think that that's bad. I think it's really good. I think building that sense of ownership where somebody comes here and they feel like, it's not just I'm going to come here, ask for money, and then get the heck out. Like, that's bad. We want people who are going to come, ask for funding, contribute back, stick around, and get engaged. So where I'm going with that is, I think if we had some tips and tricks for like, how do you build organic support for a proposal? What are the kinds of things that you can do? What are the kinds of answers and ways of engaging that are not spammy? That will help people to understand what your true intent is and build some conviction.
You mean having some type of guide or helping people to engage with the community once they submit a proposal?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it would look like exactly, but it's like, I guess the bigger picture is, rather than us feeling bad when things just sit on the server and are not getting a lot of attention, it's like, helping the people who are proposing to understand what they can do in order to generate excitement around a proposal. And if they're not, if they're not generating that excitement, then it's not going to pass, probably.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, from my perspective, I just wanted to point out that the preponderance of platforms, so needing to go to one place for a forum, go to another place for voting, go to another, having a dashboard that's specific to me to try to know what's coming up, when I log into this one place, rather than logging into the 5 or 6 different places. Every single platform loses us people. Every single platform loses people, loses us engagement, loses us, so I just, our insistence on using GitHub, which UI, UX is awful. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to engage people either. So we just have a lot of UI, UX issues, to be honest. And when I'm, so this is actually a conscious design choice that we're making in the Gravity areas to try to do it so that every single thing you ever do, all you have to do is go to one place. You go to the website and that's it, And I'm going so far as to try to make a dashboard for Web3 for people. So when they log in, they can see what's going on with the different things they're participating in. And so I'm not sure, we have a lot of really smart people here. I'm not sure why we sort of fall for the same problem, but I will just point out it is a long-standing problem and, very, very much the case. So I don't know. I don't want to sound critical, but we just have we definitely have too many platforms and too many places to go to track the progress of any one thing. So literally everything you guys are talking about, you have to go to 2, 3, 4 places to figure out the chain of, and that's just not good. So that's just my perspective. Thanks.
Yeah, I also agree with Dirgedas on that. And maybe I think ideally would be good to reach to a point where we have a dashboard and just one place where we can do everything. But maybe in the meantime, I've always wondered if it's like technical possible, just for example, to have when there's a proposal submitted in the forum, just for it to be reflected on the Discord channel. If we had like a channel that's just like proposals from the forum, or I don't know, and like a bot just sends them over there, and people, then we can have like all the conversation and all the, maybe even the voting, like the poll and all that within the Discord, and try to make Discord kind of like the central point for all of these efforts. In the meantime, we find better ways to do so.
That would be a good use case for the token holder, the token gate, because like, if you're a token holder, then you would get notified if there's a new proposal up. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think how the notification happens is something, because most of the people in the server are token holders of TEC, like even if very little because of praise. And then when there's an everyone tag, even if that tag was token holders, I don't know if like it's so polluted Discord already for a notification to reach anyone. Maybe that notification could be somewhere else. I don't know, some type of email pop up, kind of like when you're creating a calendar invite, you know, it goes to the person and then they can take action immediately from that point. If there was like a way to send an email whenever a proposal is up, and then people can like access the link already from there, something.
With that, I don't know. I think we would be kind of like polling, kind of like in a similar scenario, because we would have to go to our email and check our email to go to the proposal. And just like in this effort of trying to bring everything to the Discord server, I think that token holder idea would be interesting. And in terms of the notifications, maybe instead of tagging people for them to see the posts, I mean, people can just go there whenever they want to, but instead of going to the forum, they can just go into this specific channel and turn on the notifications of that specific channel if they want to, and if not, they can just like disable them, and that shouldn't be a problem, I think.
I think we shouldn't overcomplicate things. Because I mean, I agree 100% with Orgedas, but this doesn't seem to be like an impediment for any other DAO. So my point is, first, I don't think we have to do anything special about the platforms for now. Hopefully, there comes a time where we can sort of have everything in one place, but that time hasn't come yet. But I don't know, if you want the money, the less you can do is to be engaged in the proposal processes in the community. That's one thing. The other thing is that I feel like we tend to try to solve everything with technology, but I am like 90% sure that a lot of the engagement issues is more on our culture or community side. um, like other things are changing. We aren't necessarily giving the right. People don't see ourselves the way we hope they will see us, and so it's honestly hard to engage with us if you're not in the loop. Like I don't know, on the creation service, we've talked a lot about how our communications and some of the stuff we do isn't really that in line with talking engineering. So why would a talking engineer be engaged? And that's something that won't be fixed with technology, but rather with how we just do things ourselves.
There's a lot of things that were raised that could have some action around them during this call. So speaking with Tokenomics DAO, encouraging them to engage with the community about the proposal. Pin a post with clear instructions about governance in the forum. Having someone that can look at the proposals, like maybe creating some type of role, temporary role that people could jump into. Clarify narrative around funding proposals. Perhaps creating a different template for the proposals so the bar of quality goes up. Simplifying the forum and understanding ways to engaging with stakeholders. It's a lot in here. Is there, apart from Gideon and Enti talking to tokenomics folks, is there anything someone feels inspired to take on?
I mean, I'm excited enough by the thing that Juanca was talking about, that I would be, well, okay. I think that we are running out of funds. Like, we have to be careful about how we spend. So that's why I was saying the bar needs to go up. But I think that that's a very creative way of looking at it, is like, how do we, almost like Gitcoin, like how can we help other people to bring funds and we match it, maybe, or like maybe in the template we say, like, your chances of funding go up if we're not covering the full cost of the project. So please list your other, I don't know, that I don't want to like try to solve the problem here, but I think that there's a conversation that would be worth having to just see how we might, maybe in Stewards or something like that, how we could actually encourage our funding to just be a portion of the total amount that is being given for a project.
Anyone else? Comments? Something you feel inspired by of this conversation? Something you want to work on?
I would like to say that what Gideon said about making this feel like the commons, like not coming just for money and gone. It's like a welcome. You're now part of the commons, and what does that mean? What does that implies? So I really think that is really important. So I wouldn't put it aside. And the thing about only one place is it's Discord in the meantime, and afterwards a single platform when we can do it. That sounds like really important too, because it's kind of too many places to go.
Yeah, I think also for the clarifying the narrative, and the other one just about cleaning up the governance process, we can do that in the upcoming Softgov sessions if we don't have anything else more important. Those would be nice to to do in a group.
Okay. I think, well, this was useful to raise a lot of needs and possible solutions and ideas. Maybe we all try to implement them somehow as like clear owners for the issues didn't come up. I think everybody is busy also with many things, but let's try to keep those in the back of the mind at least, and maybe collaborate with one thing here and there as we can until we find more people that can help us to solve these issues.
Yeah, yeah, Libby. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be. I don't want to commit to something specifically, because yes, I there's like this feeling of many things happening at the same time, and many important and relevant things that are coming up, and like I feel we need to prioritize. Also, I'm not saying this is not important. On the contrary, I think it's really important. But it's really interesting on how do we actually organize ourselves into making just these ideas not just stay there, and actually put concrete action into them. I mean, I don't have the answer now. Yes, it's just like this feeling of not overwhelming, but yeah, lots of things happening, and I know that you see that as well, and you feel that as well, and I wish I could like help not just you but like these efforts in a more clear way. But I think it's a little diffuse right now. How can we proceed with that? So yeah, just wanted to say that. But totally, like all of these are things that I'm constantly thinking about, and if I can help, I will definitely do it.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye. Take care.
Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.
everyone. Later.
Thanks, Livy. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.